As you all know from having passed Law of Attraction 101, and as I have mentioned many times in these videos, whatever you give your attention to will grow in your life. If you use your powerful attention to dwell on lack and limitation or what's not going well, you'll manifest more of it. If you put your attention on what's good and abundant, you'll manifest more good and abundance. So, why is it that even when you're putting your attention in all the right places, sometimes you feel energetically thwarted? Well, there are probably a lot of reasons, but one might be this: there are too many people around you whose thoughts aren't supporting you or your vision. Hi, I'm Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we share knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life. And although I believe that everyone is really doing the best they can given their own life circumstances and challenges, you might want to ask yourself, are there people in my life who are creating a field of resistance? People who might be holding me back? Are there people who, for one reason or another, might not want me to be happy and successful? Is it wise to continue to have these people in my energy field? Well, several years ago, I had a powerful near-death experience that caused me to ponder this question more deeply. Since many of you have shared in your comments that you've never heard my near-death experience, I'm going to share it here, especially since it was a direct experience of how other people's thoughts can affect our lives. So here's what happened. So I woke up one Monday morning, not feeling great. I thought I had a flu, which was not a big deal. I was so healthy that my flus only lasted a couple hours or at the most a day, since I would just knock them right out with my cache of, echinacea, golden seal, and vitamin C. And although I executed my usual routine, that day and the next few days passed, and I realized this flu was not going away. So by Friday, I was sicker than I ever remembered having been in my life. In fact, on Saturday, when I managed to lift my head slightly off the pillow to dial my local energy healer, he told me that he would help me, but I had to do what he was going to tell me to do. And I said, yes, anything. I was afraid I was going to die there. And he said, call 911 immediately. So when the paramedics arrived and they had to break in, since I couldn't even get out of the bed, and they asked what hospital I wanted to go to, and I told them, and they commiserated for a few seconds, and they decided that I might not survive the 11-minute ride to that hospital. And instead, they took me to a hospital around the corner. And when I arrived, my blood pressure was something like 50, 52, 53 over 28. And it turned out that I had what's known as an acute sepsis. The majority of people don't survive, since it means that you have a deadly bacteria in your bloodstream. I had two. So when I got to the ER, I started to lose consciousness, and I had what many people call a near-death experience. But I didn't go through any dark tunnel or see any being of light. I just noticed that when my eyes were open, I could see everyone racing around the room trying to save my life. And when my eyes were closed, I could also see everyone racing around the room. But I also saw that everything seemed to be orchestrated by a radiant light. And I noticed that this light was guiding everything that anyone was doing, the movement of the nurse's hands, the people going in and out of the room. I saw that it was all orchestrated in perfection by this light. In fact, one of the nurses, she fumbled an IV bag and she dropped it on the gurney, and everyone kind of like shot her like daggers, you clumsy. But I saw that when she leaned her head down to retrieve the fallen IV bag, that she moved her head away from one of the monitors. And then one of the other nurses saw that there was an adjustment that had to be made that probably saved my life. So I also saw at that moment that there is really no such thing as a mistake. So many of the people in the spiritual world, teachers say that everything is perfect in the universe. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. And I saw that with my own eyes. There was only perfection in the room and in the universe. And I thought, wow, I've been teaching this for decades. But I had to come close to death to see it with my own eyes. And then the most amazing thing happened. I actually saw the power of people's words and thoughts. So by that time, my former husband and still very, very dear friend had arrived, and he was understandably a little freaked out because it did not look like I was going to live. And then a nurse, although she knew that my life was hanging by Fred, his name was Fred, she actually saw this little tear trickling down Fred's cheek, and she went over to him and put her hand on his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, she's going to be fine." And as the words came out of her mouth, "She's going to be fine," I saw them accompanied by this sparkly pink energy stream. It was like a My Little Pony rainbow, and it went out of her mouth and it went into my body, and it brought strength and fineness to every cell in my body. Her words actually strengthened me. And I remember thinking that I now had proof of what I had been teaching again for years, the power of your words, even over life and death. I also saw the power of people's thoughts, because in that state between life and death, I could actually see what people were thinking. Some people were thinking, seriously, I wish she would just like die already so I could get home and end the shift. Really and truly. And other people were just like so much wanting me to live. And that's not all. A few moments later, the doctor came in, looked at the monitors, and in a very tense and urgent voice said, "Get that blood pressure up or we're going to lose her." And when he said the words, "We're going to lose her," I saw those words accompanied by this murky brown gray energy. And they came out of his mouth, and they even had a smell, they smelled like a swamp. They went out of his mouth into my body, and they took all of my strength away. "We're going to lose her." So here I am, close to death, and I have the clear thought that if I had the strength to speak, I would just tell everyone in the room to gather around and say the words, "She's going to be fine," because I knew that if enough people said that, I could have just hopped off the gurney and gone to the gym for a workout. Anyway, the good news is, you might have noticed, I lived, but you probably figured that out. But the better news is that from that moment on, I've been even more committed to sharing the power of your words and your thoughts, and how they not only affect your life, but they can actually affect the lives of those you are speaking them about. And I remember lying there and promising the God of my understanding two things. I said, "If you let me live, I will tell everybody about this experience so they really know the power of their words." And I also promised the God of my understanding that I would never again say anything that I did not want to happen. I would never say, "Oh, my son is so this," or "My daughter is so this," all these things I don't want to happen. And by me saying them, I was making them happen. Actually, my experience has a lot of scientific evidence to support it. If you've seen the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, you would know that there have been studies proving that matter and reality are profoundly affected by your words and your thoughts. In fact, there is a wonderful woman named Lynn McTaggart. I'm sure you've probably heard of her. She began a global movement called the Intention Experiment. And the Intention Experiment was a series of scientifically controlled experiments testing the power of intention to actually change the physical world. So thousands of volunteers from 30 countries participated in the original Intention Experiment with astonishing results, all of which have been verified by leading researchers, including physicists and psychologists at Princeton and Cambridge and the University of, what's it called? The International Institute of Biophysics and the Institute of Noetic Sciences, I think it is. In her pilot experiment, Lynn asked a group of people based in London to direct their thoughts to 4 remote targets at a laboratory in Germany. The targets were 2 types of algae, 1 plant, and 1 human volunteer. So the people in London were asked to attempt to lower certain measurable biological processes in the 4 targets. The result? Well, the doctors at the German lab could not believe it, but they found significant changes in all 4 targets. That means that the people in London, just through their thoughts, created changes in the algae, the plant, and even the human volunteers in Germany. And now Lynn has gone on to do experiments with groups of people putting their attention on lowering the temperature in hotspots and war zones around the world, again, with phenomenal results, as well as groups of people putting their attention on each other's success and happiness and physical and emotional well-being through what she calls groups of 8. She has 8 people put their attention on one member of the group at a time. And the miracles that these group intentions are creating for the individuals are far beyond what they could generate themselves, including physical healings, oh my gosh, loved ones being reunited, monetary windfalls. I remember a story of a house selling in 24 hours that had been on the market for years, lost pets showing up, and so much more. So if this is all true, wouldn't it be fantastic to have people around you who genuinely desire your success and happiness? I think so. So here are some things you could do to capitalize on this newfound power you now know that you have, even over life and death. Number 1, invite into your life only those people who want the best for you. Number 2, get a copy of Lynn's book, The Power of 8, and organize a group of friends to intention for each other and see the magic that you can create in each other's lives with your intentions. And 3, remember the power of your words. In fact, I'd like to give you a challenge. For the next week, notice when you make a statement of something you don't want to happen and replace it with the opposite statement of what you do want to happen. So you make a statement of something that you don't, cancel, and then think, what do you want in that circumstance? And make that emphatic statement and watch how much your life shifts from this practice. It'll only take a week to change this habit for good. And I promise that your life will never be the same. So thanks for listening. Happy intentioning to all. And let me know in the comments below how it goes. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.